Hey, what is up guys, it's TAZEDMOUSE and we are back with some Tangle Tower, Detective Grimoire. Now we're gonna leave the music room and you know what, let's go wherever this is. Even though I was told that we should check the main hall. I think this is Phoebe with her rather large bird hands.
Check out that butterfly.
It is also
Looks evil.
11:30 at night.
Wow, judgmental.
My little writing desk. It's kind of cute.
There's nothing written in the book, although someone's torn a page out of the middle.
An especially fancy cage.
And it's home to 3 especially fancy birds.
Oh, just beautiful. What is it?
Huh?
Sort of a delicate jade, but with a little seafoam green, is that right?
Sorry?
Your hair, dear! Which shade do you use? It's lovely! And that shape, you're really pushing the envelope.
Oh, thanks. I do what I can to offset Grimoire's beige on brown ensemble.
Detectives don't need to be brightly colored. We prefer to blend into the background.
Oh, you're the detective? Delightful. Penny Pointer, pleasure.
Is that short for Penelope?
Officially, yes, but I never
What did I
can
say,
be
Phoebe?
bothered with all 4 syllables of it.
totally wrong with the
Penelope
name.
sounds a little
I'm better with faces, not names.
ostentatious coming out of the mouth, don't you think?
Sure. Yeah.
20-something, Aquarius, love to travel. And nearly
20-something.
all my
They'll
friends.
women will never tell you their
others.
actual age.
Travel? Where to?
Anywhere at all, as long as it has species worth studying. Ornithology, they call it. I call it the only thing I've ever been good at.
There was a
And
dude at
have you studied the
Alcatraz
birds
who
here at Tangle Tower?
studied
But
birds,
of course, where else do
Even,
you think
like,
I developed
smuggled
my
the book
love
out.
of the field?
and it was actually
No
like
matter
a
where I
really
go,
good book.
I always find myself coming home to Tangle Tower.
Because of the birds.
Oh, no, because of him. Silly to admit, but I suppose I can't bear for us to be apart.
Who are you talking about?
Fritz?
Oh, don't you know? My fiancé, dear Fitz. He's not really the traveling type, you see.
Fitz fellow.
The very one.
You're engaged to a member of the Fellow family? That's interesting.
I'm not especially interested in whatever tedious feuding goes on between our 2 families. Fitz and I find it much easier to stay out of it altogether.
Well, Fitz never mentioned the fact that you were engaged, so you might want to talk to
I
him about
awoke
that.
early and headed down into the greenhouse to see Fitz. He's always there, crack of dawn, every morning like clockwork.
How come?
It's where he's happiest. That and he has a great deal of work to do every day, watering, pruning, mulching, whatever that is.
Do you help him? With the work in the greenhouse?
Oh, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I'd probably break something.
So, you stayed with Fitz the whole day?
No. In the early afternoon.
Is no one going to talk
went
about her
inside,
hands?
Rather suddenly as it happened.
Or are those just gloves?
Did he say why?
He didn't. Probably just a touch of heat stroke, the poor dear. He's more delicate than you'd think.
What did you do after that?
Let's see. I returned to the aviary to feed my birds.
And how many birds are you responsible for?
Officially 4, but in truth it's more like 400.
Can they not feed themselves?
Of course, and they often do. But I think they just like the company. As do I. Sometime in the evening, I left the aviary and headed back towards my room. But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. He was muttering something. Seemed a bit upset, the poor dear. I followed him down, but the grand hall was empty by the time I got there. Empty aside from Detective Hawkshaw, who was loitering over by the library. I don't know what it was, but she looked a little lost. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the Fellow Tower. I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path. For some reason, he was coming out of Fitz's bedroom. He looked rather lost, too. I told him I was looking for Uncle. He suggested we look up in Flora's tower room. We could see from the hallway. The door was off its hinges. I knew then something was terribly wrong. A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya. Uncle Pointer was there. Fitz, too, standing over in the corner with Fifi and Poppy.
What about Flora?
Of course, silent as ever. Uncle suggested we should leave. Give the others some space, you know. So he and I both returned to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Oh, they're making a 4th Detective Grimoire game.
A fellow bird enthusiast. She's quite the expert, truth be told. Studied them professionally at one point. I think her father taught her.
Are you friends with Flora?
A little bit.
A little bit friends.
She's one for the peace and quiet. I dare
Oh,
say
it's coming
I'm
out
a
this year.
little too loud for her.
I can see that.
I do admire her, though, really. Always felt like she could have done better than settle for Felix.
Ouch.
I said it. She's a most unsavory little...
Oh, he struck a nerve here.
She was incredibly rude about my appearance.
Which part? The giant bird arms, or...
If I were her, I'd go easy on the judgment of others.
Oh, these guys did
look
snipper
at her.
clips
She
for the
looks like the
Switch.
ghost of a
I never actually
scarecrow.
play the game, but I'm familiar with it.
I just wish Uncle Pointer would tell her to behave herself.
Professor Pointer? Why him?
Oh, it was Uncle that called her in. She's his responsibility. Did you not know that?
So she's being employed by Uncle.
She'd sit in the aviary, first thing in the morning, and paint the birds. Sometimes she'd ask me their names.
Freya was interested in studying bird species too?
No, just wanted to know their names. Isabelle, Clementine, Myrtle, Lysandre, Genevieve.
Got it, thanks.
For my 21st birthday, she gave me a framed painting. All the birds from a single
I guess I
spring.
know she's older than 21.
Their names written underneath.
If she's
I can't
20-something,
begin to tell you how much I've
that
treasured.
at least,
Sounds like you two were close.
it's about 8 more...
I feel like I always struggled
Years
to
ago.
articulate my admiration for her. But she had a way of understanding unspoken things. Oh, she's beautiful! Who is she? Wait, is that me? Oh, did you talk to Poppy already?
Yeah, a little bit.
And did you make any notes of what she told you?
Yeah, I did.
Lovely. Burn them. It'll all be lies.
Why would Poppy lie to us?
Because that's what she does. She's a snake. Looks like one, too.
Don't you think you're being a little unfair, Penny?
She started it. Isn't he strapping?
He is... big.
And so brooding.
Kinda sulky, yeah.
I can never tell what's going on in that beautiful head of his.
It just sounds like you don't know him very well.
I don't remember asking for your input. You know, it's probably quite impressive. To a visitor, fresh eyes and all that.
Not to you.
Try living in it for 20 years. The sheen wears off. If it wasn't for my fits, I'd have little reason to stay.
What about inheritance? You're the next oldest Pointer after your uncle, aren't you?
Well, thank you very much for phrasing it like that. But no, any money left in the Pointer family will pass down directly to Poppy.
Is that fair?
I couldn't care less, to be perfectly honest. Finally! I get to see a detective's case file.
That's a very specific thing to be excited about.
Well, only last week I asked that miserable Hawkshaw woman if I could see her case notes.
I'm guessing she said no.
Would have been much more polite if she had just said no. Instead, she was quite rude to me. Accused me of being, what was it? A shallow sensationalist. Goodness me. Poppy really doesn't take care of her belongings, does she?
It wasn't in Poppy's room. It was in the little pond in the garden.
Exactly! Hardly the place for it. I'm I'm sure I've read about this creature somewhere. Don't remember anything about him playing the harp, though. I doubt Freya intended it, but the overall effect is a little unsettling. Don't you think? It's Flora that's the problem. She's an inescapably haunting presence, bless her. Gaudy old thing, isn't it? Flora seems very fond of it. I've never understood why. But then I could say the same thing about her husband.
Heyo!
Poppy's gramophone.
Flora has a husband? Wait, what?
She's had it for a long time. As a young child, she'd call it her mama phone, on account of it belonging to her mother.
That's cute.
Oh yes, adorable. How terrible.
You recognize it?
The color scheme. 3 different pinks. Obscene. Oh, that's rather sad. Freya doesn't take very good care of her pains, does she? But then she was always rather bohemian, had her own priorities. I don't know what that is. Ooh, delightful. More of a gemstone than a fruit, isn't it?
Inedible, too, I think.
Yes. At one point I thought Fitz might be growing them to sell them. But honestly, I think he just likes the way they look. Haven't seen this one in a while. He lives in the music room, doesn't he?
Currently.
I must say the girls are awfully well behaved today. I think they know we're in the presence of company.
They belong to you? Why do you keep them in a cage?
They need a special diet, particular treatment. I let them out to fly occasionally, of course. But they're all one of a kind. I couldn't let anything happen to them.
Do they have names?
Of course! Let me introduce you to Tabitha, Tamara, and Tatiana.
I've already forgotten all 3 of those names.
Which one is
Tabitha,
which?
Tatiana,
Oh, that's simple.
Tamara?
Tatiana is the oldest, Tabitha is the most patient, and Tamara has the best sense of rhythm.
Glad we cleared that up.
What about the one on your head?
On my head? He's just my hat. He doesn't have a name. Who would name their hat?
I'm pretty sure Grimoire did that once.
We can get into Penny's room
Now, like, right now?
Sure. Why not build a science lab in the corner of the library?
The search for new knowledge. The archiving of old knowledge. It's downright poetic. It's an illustrated book about birds.
It's been left open. Looks like somebody was halfway through reading it.
Or it was left open for us to find.
Ever so slightly unnerving.
Even among avian mystics, other birds often aggress towards it. The ink shrimp lives most of its life alone. Its particular feeding habits usually only eats the seed of Tangle America.
A book? Fundamental Entomology.
I guess somebody dropped it. Books about geography.
Skip.
I'm not sure. Soil samples?
Is that a snow globe?
Of sorts. Hey, look at that. It's a model of Tangle Tower. There's the lake and those weird mountains. What are you thinking?
That would make an amazing souvenir.
He steals it. Why do I have to activate Windows in the background? I updated Windows. What the hell?
Curious. I would expect bacteria of that nature to
Son of a
thrive in
bitch.
these conditions.
Well, I know you have to, you have to update
excuse me.
Windows.
Taking all the environmental factors into account, there must be something I am still missing.
May I talk to you? Miss?
Hold up. Is this
She knows
Fifi?
we're here. She just doesn't care.
I am a detective, and I need to talk.
Correction. You do not need to talk to me,
Oh no? How come?
because I am not a suspect. I am completely innocent of any and all crimes.
Thanks for letting me know.
Sarah Williams.
Speaking of which, you have now been at Tangle Tower for over 23 minutes. Surely you have already reached a sturdy hypothesis.
A hypothesis? About the murder?
Yeah, come on, Grimoire, hurry up.
My apologies. Unfortunately, protocol dictates I must at least meet all the suspects. And that includes you. So, could you tell me your name?
Fifi Fellow, microbiologist, inventor, innovator. You will need to be more specific. Oneself cannot be summarized in a single response without doing one a great disservice.
So true.
Well, first of all, you're a fellow. So does that make you the daughter of...
Correct. My father and mother are named Flora and Felix, but you need not question either of them. It will only waste valuable time.
Oh, wait,
Neither of them are
Flora's
capable
not-
of murder.
Thanks for the tip.
Fifi, you said you were a micro... something or other?
Microbiologist, but it is an insignificant label. My studies cannot be categorized in any one recognized field.
What made you want to become a scientist in the first place?
I harbor an intrinsic fascination with the microscopic.
My
I
eyes
constructed
are-
my first one at age 10.
Uncommonly on
Constructed
the sides
a
of my head.
microscope?
Correct.
And what's that thing on your head?
Sally looks like she's
Did
very
you make
three
that too?
giant tennis balls
My
on her
eyesight
head.
began to deteriorate when I turned 12. Not satisfied with the eyeglasses prescribed to me, I designed this custom lens instead. It automatically adjusts based on the surrounding light conditions.
Does it glow red when you get angry?
No, but that would be most amusing. What can you tell me about the murder?
What can you tell me about... Wait, that's what I'm supposed to ask you.
Yes, however, you were too slow.
You fancy yourself a detective too, Fifi?
I just need to know what happened.
Me too. So talk.
Fine. I knew ahead of time that Freya was going to be busy with her painting all day, so I had planned to spend the afternoon with Poppy. I was in the library all morning preparing the equipment for an experiment, only to find out that Poppy had made other plans and she was in fact planning to ignore me completely.
Oh.
So what did you do instead?
I locked myself in my room and cried.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Why?
I don't know, it just sounds kind of sad.
It is not unusual.
Oh. Good.
I was in my room. The lights were off and the door was locked. Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it
That was
until the
Poppy.
someone began shouting at me. I opened the door. Poppy came into my room. Her makeup was leaking. She told me Freya was dead. I did not believe it. I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face. She insisted that we go up to Flora's tower. We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs. When I saw Freya lying on the floor, I was completely and utterly devastated. Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting. Poppy and I took the sample back downstairs to the library. We performed a test and found out that it was, in fact, blood.
You performed that scientific test immediately, even though you were feeling so upset?
Of course. Why would one affect the other? Name, Flora Fellow. Age, 44. Profession, unknown. Likes, unknown. Dislikes, unknown.
Isn't she your mother? How do you not know anything?
I believe other people may have discovered methods of reaching her, but I have little capacity for interpreting nonverbal communication.
And how long has Flora been... non-verbal?
She has always been quiet, willing to speak when necessary, but not more.
So what happened to make her stop talking entirely?
She suffered a great loss, something she has been unable to move beyond. Name,
We gotta
Hotshot.
find that out.
Age, unknown. Profession, private detective. Likes, quote, being left alone. Dislikes, quote, being constantly badgered by a weirdo nerd with a clipboard.
That was a slap in
Name.
the face.
Fiona Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, amateur microbiologist. Likes, the meaningful archiving of information. Dislikes, the superfluous window dressing accompanying the majority of human contact. Notes: kindly disregard the polysyllabic form of my given forename and refer to me instead as Fifi.
How come you prefer Fifi?
How come you prefer Grimoire?
How are you related to the other fellows?
Fitz is my cousin. His father, a man named Flint, was my uncle.
Was?
I do not know if Flint is alive or not. He left Tangle Tower a long time ago.
And what about Freya? How are you related to her?
We share exactly one grandparent.
Well, they're all related somehow.
Name: Freya Fellow. Age: 19. Profession: artist. Deceased. Understand this. Most people find me difficult. They exhibit a noticeable degree of discomfort when talking to me. There it is. Freya, who had a way of being an exception to any given rule, was not at all like this. She is very important, and I will not rest until I understand what has happened to her.
Did you spend a lot of time with Freya recently?
I will say this. In the past year, Freya became 1. Increasingly independent, and 2. Increasingly isolated.
Do you know why?
I do not. If you are looking for a
Couldn't those
speculative,
isolated and
empathetic
independent be
opinion,
used
try asking Poppy
synonymously?
instead.
The three of you were friends.
We are of a similar age, and all highly gifted.
Poppy did say that.
1 scientist, 1 artist, and 1 musician.
Sounds like quite a team.
It really does, actually.
Name: Fitzfellow. Age: 24. Profession: cryptobotanist. Likes soil, dislikes electric lights.
Hang on. Cryptobotanist? I thought he was just a gardener.
That may well be his preferred label. Mine, however, is more accurate.
Do you and Fitz not see eye to eye, Fifi?
We do not.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. He's well over 6 foot and you've got to be just barely 5.
So what's your problem with him?
Exactly 1 week ago, I witnessed him sneaking up Pointer Tower. He was making every effort to avoid detection.
So?
He was also carrying a knife. Name: Penelope Pointer. Age: 27. Profession: ornithologist.
That's
Likes
27.
birds.
Okay.
Dislikes insects. Notes: Penelope is very beautiful. I have never had very much in common with her. Name: Poppy Pointer. Age: 19. Profession: Apparently Poppy has defaced my notes. Under profession, I had of course originally written pianist, but she has crossed that out and written the ghost of Christmas yet to come. What is your opinion of Tangle Tower?
Oh, it's impressive. Elaborate gardens, unique architecture.
Must be worth a fortune.
Why do you ask, Fifi?
I am the heir of the Fellow family and the Remington family. This makes me the sole beneficiary of Tangle Tower.
That's quite an inheritance.
They can't make you do anything, Fifi. If you don't want the house, just tell them. Or just sell it. Who cares?
You sound like her. I
Who is
require
her?
facts. What do you know?
Well, we know Freya was stabbed with a knife, and then she fell.
Correction. She was stabbed with something. There was no knife found at the crime scene,
Apart from the one in the painting.
which as a mere abstract representation does not count. Nobody has ever been stabbed by the concept of a knife. This belongs to Poppy. In fact, she owns a number of cassette tapes.
What happened to it, though?
It has been left underwater for an extended period of time.
Right. But why?
I do not know why. The statue itself does not interest me, but I do wish to know about those symbols on the harp. Have you deciphered their meaning yet?
We're working on it.
We are?
Freya is normally highly skilled at capturing someone's likeness,
I would
but in
assume
this
if we
painting,
talk to
she has
the
accidentally
professor,
made
he
Flora
might be
look
able to
quite
tell
young.
the symbols.
I think she was just being kind.
Why is that kind? Anyway, I'm far more interested in what Flora is holding. I performed the test on the red paint myself. I discovered that it was in fact not paint, but blood.
What made you want to test it in the first place?
It was Poppy. She told me she thought the painting looked like a bloody knife. I told her not to be ridiculous. My mother owns no such knife. But then I noticed that the color was slightly too dark, and the substance itself was overly viscous.
You noticed that just from looking at it once?
Of course. That belongs to my mother. I think she must be fond of eggs. There are a number of egg-shaped carvings to be found in the garden and in the Grand Hall.
Yeah, what's the deal with all the eggs?
Some people just like eggs. The gramophone belongs to Poppy, but I believe she gave it to my mother, and my mother often loaned it to Freya. Or maybe it is the other way around.
When did it get cracked?
I cannot pinpoint it exactly. All I know is that it must have happened sometime in the last 2 days.
Is she laughing?
The red paint on the brush is not paint. It is blood. Same for the palette.
So Freya added the blood to the painting herself?
Or blood got on the brush and palette some other way?
I do not know the answer.
Fifi, did you test the red paint in this pot?
Yes, I did. I discovered it too was blood, not paint.
A whole pot full of blood?
Not a whole pot. It is only partially full.
Yeah, but still. Doesn't that freak you out?
No. In fact, it may be considered rather reassuring. This belongs to Professor Pointer, does it not?
No, I don't think so.
Who else would own such a pointless little telescope?
It's a telescope.
Oh, yes. It has a telescopic lens. It can only be used for looking at things that are far away. The fruit here has a unique chemical makeup. It makes them completely pointless. Unless you wish to cut it down and sell it as a precious stone.
It's not edible.
Depends.
On what?
On the structural integrity of your teeth. Why
Take
did
a hammer
Poppy
to
leave
it.
shards of glass all over this statue?
What makes you think it was Poppy?
The statue lives in the music room. Who else would it be? I am scared of birds.
Why?
It is an irrational fear. I have no suitable explanation.
Oh. Do you know who was reading this book?
It belongs to my mother.
That activate
And
Windows thing
she
on the
left it in the
bottom is
library?
actually annoying. me.
No, my mother's not been in the library for some time.
Fifi's bedroom should be unlocked.
Can't wait.
It's a little glass box.
I think it's a vivarium.
Come again?
See the leaves and twigs in there? Might have been for keeping insects.
It's a little wooden box for
To
paintbrush.
the casual observer, maybe. They're not real paintbrushes. Looks like they're part of some kind of lock mechanism.
Wait a second. I'm trying to.
Nothing.
Did you find a hint on those scraps of paper? It looks like a ripped-up jigsaw puzzle.
I did
Not
it.
bad.
Okay.
What was in the box?
What's in the
Just a
box?
photograph. Well, most of a photograph.
Kind of looks like Fifi and Freya. But we don't know.
Drawings.
What's that one on the left?
Looks like two people standing together in a garden. One of them's holding a red rose.
Fritz, Fifi, to the Fox Show. Bobby. Oh, wait a second.
That painting. That's really something.
Why would you want it looming over your bed like that?
Maybe Freya enjoyed the atmosphere it creates.
The atmosphere of chaos and oppression?
Hang on. There's a smaller version down by the floor.
It's a photograph. Not the kind of lamp I choose for my...
It's cool. Looks like old mining equipment or something.
It's a...
I think it looks more like a whale.
Fine, it's a whale.
Could also be a shark. Freya's bear.
Looks pretty depressed.
He's had a rough couple of days.
Drawings.
What's that one on?
Looks one of them's holding a red rose.
That painting.
Why?
Maybe Freya. Hang on. There's a
It's
small.
a photograph.
Yeah, so now we're gonna start doing some checking around.
Fifi's got something pinned up here.
What is all this?
This is like that, It's Sunny in Philadelphia meme.
Did you notice who isn't on here?
Freya?
Mm-hmm. And Fifi herself. It looks like a microscope. A big one.
Can I touch it?
Puzzle? Got it.
I'm impressed.
That took me a little while.
Sounds like it unlocked.
Yeah, it's built on top of a little metal... There's a book in here.
Something a diary.
It's a magnifying glass.
How come you don't have one of those?
Why? Because I'm a detective? Should I start smoking a pipe, too?
You couldn't pull off a pipe.
Really
A new suspect! Don't think you can get out being questioned just because you're a bear.
I'm innocent, I promise.
Jesus Christ, that was...
Save it for the judge.
Save it for the judge. But Jesus, that voice that Sally did was utterly terrifying.
A pretty ornate window.
We're supposed to be looking for clues, not a...
And over here, you'll see the owners use sheets of paper to block out a simple trick, but it really transforms.
I don't know what that drink is, but I bet it's 90.
I'd read you the ingredients, but there's nothing written.
That's even worse.
What's that big book on the
Looks
desk?
like something Fifi's
Is it a
been...
clue?
I hope not. It's just a bunch of notes about her microbiology experiments.
What's that big book?
Looks like something
Is
Fifi...
it a
I
clue?
hope it's just a bunch of notes about her micro...
What's that big book?
Looks like
Is it a
something...
clue?
I hope not. It's just a bunch of notes about her microbiome.
An empty glass and an empty plate.
Looking at it is making me want to...
Why?
I don't know.
It's a little handmade card. Inside it says, "To Fitz, from PP."
PP.
That poor plant.
Looks pretty healthy to me.
Healthy, but sad. I think it would rather be outside.
Doesn't look soft.
Hello.
Not hidden very well, is
Doesn't
it?
need to be. It's a combination lock, sort of.
I can alter the shapes. For them to be able to change their appearance.
Nothing.
Maybe if you move the paper around, you'll find it.
There we go.
Perfect. Anything in there?
Yeah, it's wrapped in a cloth. Hold on. That's kind of ominous.
PP and FF. A lot of PPs right now.
There's someone outside the window.
Something outside the window. It's probably just a rock.
You sure?
Just a face appears there.
It's
Maybe that'd be
locked,
terrifying.
but it leads
I
out.
thought we were halfway up a tower.
We are.
What's that thing by the handle?
Nothing.
The
Still,
tiles have all got that same
those moon symbols in the slots.
Maybe they're connected, but also...
Nope.
Maybe the information we need isn't here.
Where is it?
Somewhere else. Let's come back once we...
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
It's locked.
I thought we were...
We are.
What's that thing by the handle?
Alright, everybody. I'm gonna end this episode here because it is currently 12:17 in the morning now. Please like and subscribe, guys. And I'll see all you guys next time. Goodbye.